In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Marianne's guests are leaders in their field, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in their own work. They teach others to develop, refocus, and grow. Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. And remember, make every moment count.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Marianne. Today, my very special guest is Kaitlin Roig-DeBellis. So Kaitlin wrote this amazing book, Moving Forward from Life's Darkest Hours, Choosing Hope. And it is something that everyone should pick up. And so without getting too much into the book and having the cart before the horse, let's go ahead and welcome Kaitlin to the show. So welcome, Kaitlin.
Thank you so much for having me, Marianne.
Oh, thank you. I mean, what a joy it is to have you on the show. I mean, your book is absolutely amazing. It's so heartfelt, and it really just gives the reader a glimpse into, you know, not only just your soul and how you are as a person, but how to move beyond any kind of, you know, personal upsets or tragedies that people will have. So why don't you tell, huh?
I mean, you just touched on exactly why I wrote it. I get asked a lot, why did you write Choosing Hope? What was your purpose in it? And it's very different than I think a lot of people may think. You know, I started out in 2013 going out and speaking to large audiences of individuals. And what became evidently clear immediately was that people wanted to connect their own pain to mine. And they wanted to share their own personal tragedies with me. They wanted to tell me about their husband who died. They wanted to tell me about their terminal cancer diagnosis. They wanted to tell me about their son who committed suicide. And they wanted to connect with me, you know, in their pain to my pain. And so when the idea, the opportunity of writing my life story came about, I didn't have a moment of hesitation, because I knew that if I could reach one more person than was in that one audience on that one day, then I absolutely had to, because as you said, everyone has hard stuff. I am not alone in this. I mean, just because my darkest hour was a worldwide tragedy, everyone has tragedies on a daily basis, and it is a choice how to proceed from them. And it was really important for me to share my story, to hopefully encourage others to get through their own hard stuff.
And you know, and I can understand why people would do that, because they are looking at what was probably for them, whatever was the most tragic event that happened to them, and then coming to you saying, hey, you know, I can relate. I've had this great pain too, you know, and really looking for help. And, you know, how does one progress from here?
Right. And I think one thing that stood out for me, because of obviously the gravity of the tragedy in my life and that I narrowly survived, people would very quickly share their traumatic event, and then they would very quickly try to backtrack. And they would say to me, you know, I know that's nothing like what you went through. I know that I can't even compare. And the thing is, none of us can compare, you know. And so I would stop them as they were saying it and say, you know, don't do that. Don't lessen what you've gone through. You know, they aren't the same, but they are the same. You know, pain is pain. It is universal. And, you know, own it. I think don't try to say, you know, oh, it's not as bad as yours. You know, we can't compare it. They're all awful.
Yeah. There's no, and I like how you put that, because there really is no, you know, way to quantify one's pain against another, nor should there be, you know.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
So, well, I know your book has some great information, you know, and you've got some ways for people to really move beyond what is going on in their own personal life at the moment. So why don't you talk a little bit about the 5 sections that you have? In fact, just expand on that as much as you want, because I think it's really going to help a lot of people to hear that.
Sure. Well, I think before I even do that, I think what's really important to know about me and my journey, for myself, I was very much after December 14th, 2012, a shell of myself. I was terrified of everything. I was completely lacking of sense of self or of confidence or security or safety, which was incredibly frustrating as an individual, because on December 13th, I had been this intensely independent individual and always prided myself on that. So to feel this complete lack of being able to go out in the world and go to a grocery store or take gas in my car, or, not being able to stay home alone and having to have someone come over and babysit me, those things were really infuriating. And it was a combination of feeling like that and how awful it was. And also at the same time, I was grappling with really trying to answer why. Why did this happen? Why our school? Why innocent lives? All of those whys. And it became clear after a couple of weeks of living this way that I was never going to answer those whys, and that I never am going to answer them. And that instead I really needed to shift my focus and my energy onto questions that I could answer. I think for so many of us, especially during the really hard times, we tend to focus intently on questions that we are just never going to answer. And we forget, though, that there are so many we can, and that so much power lies in that. And for myself, the 2 questions that I knew I had to answer and that I knew I could answer were, how do I make sure this day does not define my students and myself? And how do we get our control back? Because it was taken from us on that day. And those 2 questions, they became my guiding light. I mean, they drove me in absolutely everything I did. At first, just getting out of bed in the morning, then seeking counsel and a therapist to really wrap my head around and try my best to move forward. But I think for myself, one of the biggest impetuses that led me in a direction of healing was deciding, number 1, I was not going to continue to live in a state of fear. And number 2, I was going to focus my energy on questions I could answer. And I think that we can all do that, no matter what our hard stuff is that we're going through. The title of my book is so fitting, Choosing Hope, Moving Forward from Life's Darkest Hours. I, every day of my life, strive to move forward, and I always will. But I can't ever move on. I will never move on from December 14th, 2012. It is wholly a part of me. It is with me every second of every minute of every day. And that's not a complaint. It is a reality. And I think that it is okay to be able to move forward from something and never be able to move on.
I think that's 100% okay, because, it happened, and, it's how you show up and walk through it. And tragedy is tough, and not everyone's able, or even there's not really a roadmap. It's like, how do you get from here to there,
Right.
There's some resources and tools that are available out there, and that's why I think your book is going to help a lot of people, because as everyone walks through whatever tragedy that they're going through, they can really relate to what it is that you've written, and also how they can move beyond that, or it's not even move beyond, move through it,
Right. Yes. And you touched upon the different sections of the book. The book is very much, it is my life story from birth, but it's also an extension of what I say when I go out and speak to an audience. That's exactly how the book is broken up. So, for myself, I think that the power of choice flows through the entire book. So we start with purpose and choosing your purpose and knowing it and following it and working really hard at it. We each have one. They're all different, but I think identifying it and knowing it and choosing it wholeheartedly is super important. One of the things that has only been bolstered in my life, so many things have changed, but one of the things that has only been bolstered since the tragedy is who I am as a teacher and my purpose as an educator. And that has been, I've been an educator since I was 5 years old, and that has only been strengthened. So I think choosing your purpose is so crucially important, both in hard times and before them and after them. Choosing your perspective, the second portion of the book, good and bad both always coexist. On any one day, in any moment that we are in, good and bad are both always there. It is our choice which we focus on. And for myself, I learned that lesson really early on, the day I was born. I was given up for adoption, which is the greatest blessing in my life. And 2 months later, I was, brought home by my family. And that morning, my dad's mother, who lived with them, had passed away in her sleep. This completely tragic morning, but yet this morning they're becoming parents that they've waited years to have happen. So from a very early age, I've known that our perspective determines how we react or not to every situation in our lives. And so I think it's really important that you always make a conscious choice to focus on the good and to focus on the positive. Because when you have that perspective, it will make the hard times feel that much more approachable. And then certainly choosing to overcome, as I said, we all have darkness. I am not alone in this. And so it is a choice to overcome. I say all the time, it probably would have been, might not have felt great, but it probably would have been much easier for me to just lay in bed, sit on the couch, watch TV, let my husband, come to and fro, do the grocery shopping, and never overcome those obstacles that were in my path. But I made a choice that evil was not going to define me. And we each have that choice. But it is a choice to make it. And, obviously then choosing hope, is the overarching theme. But I think that even in darkness, especially in darkness, we can choose to see that there's going to be light again. And we can choose to have hope for that. And I would encourage anyone to make that choice for themselves.
Well, and when you were going through your journey, what was the aha moment you had where things shifted and you're like, I have this path in the road and I'm going to go ahead and choose, to have that hope and have that faith in many ways,
Yeah, there were two. One I briefly touched upon. The first was really coming to that moment where I realized I could not continue staying in my home. I could not continue being afraid of the outside world. I cannot continue trying to answer questions I am never going to answer and becoming increasingly frustrated with that. So that was the first shift. And of course, at the beginning, the most important, because that really led me to, I very clearly remember the first day I went into a grocery store. I remember I went in. I remember I knew what I was going to get. I was going to get that one thing. I was going to pay for it. I was going to leave. And I remember the sense of accomplishment and relief when I got in my car. And nothing had happened to me or anyone else. Because for myself, the fear, the reality was my world was now a completely unsafe place. And someone with a gun or a weapon or any other frame of mind to hurt someone could be right around the corner. So that was a huge, first turn was really making myself get out there and face my fears. And then the second was when I was back in school with my kids and we were getting, and the gifts just kept coming and coming. I realized as my kids' teacher that if I didn't take it as a teachable moment to teach my kids that in life when you get, you have to give, that in life when someone does for you, it is your responsibility to then do for someone else, that I was doing my kids a huge disservice if I did not teach that to them. And so one day I just brought a box in front of them. I said, these are things for recess today. Of course, they were so excited. And then I asked them, why did someone send these gifts to us? And their hands raised and they said, well, they wanted to be nice and kind. They wanted to help us. And I said, yep, you're absolutely all correct. And I said, then I paused and I gave them the question, what should we do? What should we do now? And their hands raised again, and they said, well, we should be helpful to someone else. We should make someone else feel happy. We should give a gift to someone else. And I said, absolutely. And I didn't I didn't pose another question, and yet their hands all started to raise. And they said, well, Ms. Roig, how are we going to help them? What are we going to give? Who are we going to help? What should we send? My kids were more excited. And you have to realize this is, not even a month after the hardest day of their lives. They're more excited about giving to someone else. Their faces are lighting up about the prospect of helping someone else. And that was truly the day where my 2 questions were answered. And that was huge. If we were going to choose as a class to give and to focus on love and kindness, then evil cannot and could not ever define us. And in doing so, we got our control back. That was huge. And that was the moment that I thought, you know what? I think this might be bigger than my class. Bigger and better. I think this might be something that all kids need to experience. And I went home and I started Googling because I thought, it's 2013 at that time. There has to be something like this out there. And there was nothing. And so just in my mind, I said, well, there has to be. And I just started drafting it, drawing it up, doing a lot of writing, meeting with a web developer, starting to talk to teachers, trying to form a board. And in just a month's time, we had our very first board meeting for Classes, and we launched in April of 2013. I think to really relate that to any one level, I think the way that you move forward with purpose from whatever your hard time is to make a conscious choice that you are going to do something that ensures that it does not define you.
Definitely. I mean, it's something that people will experience, and it really shows the mettle of their character and what they're able to walk through. But it's not the end game. It really isn't.
Right.
Well, Dina, why don't you talk a little bit more about Classes for Classes? So, I know you've got this great organization, and what is the main goal? Do you have curriculums for teachers? Are there classes that you have for students? How does it work?
Sure. Great. I would love to share. So Classes for Classes are a social network for classrooms across the United States to connect with one another. We believe at the end of the day, the core value or the core of our mission is that when we actively engage students from kindergarten in being kind, compassionate, and empathetic, actively, that there isn't room for hate. And imagine what that world would look like. And so the platform of our website is where all of our classroom projects live. So the way it works is any classroom, K-8 public school in the United States, can go on right now or anytime, simply register their classroom. It takes less than 10 minutes. It is not an arduous task. Once that happens, the classroom has a profile that is automatically there. The teacher can put a picture, can write about who they are, where they are in the United States, what it is they're working on as a class, whether they want to be a giving or receiving teacher. That is their choice. We do not choose that for them. And then they're able to browse the other teacher profiles. I think right now, we just launched our site in October. I think we have about 82 teachers or classrooms who are currently registered on our site waiting to connect. So if you are a teacher, I would encourage you to go on and try to connect with one of those classrooms. But once the two classrooms connect and they pick, we do not do that. It's completely up to the teachers and the classrooms. Once the two classrooms connect their profiles, then a project page is formed. And that's where there's a gift that's crowdfunded by outside donors. That's where they have their book nook and their kindness corner and their pay it forward section. They have a place where the teacher can upload student work like posters and poetry and letters. And it's really a place where the classroom gets to showcase all of the incredible things that they are doing in correlation with their project. And so the kids get to have real ownership over it and feel a sense of accomplishment that they are helping someone else, or that they're the ones on the receiving end and they have a significant gratitude for what someone else is doing for them. You know, at the end of the day, in this life, we are all connected. And I think a lot of times we tend to forget that. And it is so important, especially for the youngest members of our society, to understand that people have needs and that we need to be empathetic and compassionate and to help them with that. And that then if we have a need one day, someone will help us. That's the way the world is supposed to work. And so that is what we are all about at Classes for Classes. We are like a Facebook crowdfunding tool for classrooms, truly.
And that's fabulous. I mean, you can never really teach this at too young of an age. I mean, you really can't. I mean, this is just, I think it's amazing because you have things where students can go ahead and keep up a kindness journal. You know, they really get involved.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I just love this.
And we're not, you know, and you asked this earlier, and I apologize that I didn't answer. We do not provide a curriculum for a very specific reason. That's not what we are. We are not looking to come into any school and be a prescribed anything. We are a tool. We are a resource to assist teachers and classrooms in what they are already doing. Every single school in the United States today, in 2016, follows some type of social curriculum, whether it's responsive classroom or any of the others. And we are a tool to assist with that. We're a component to the morning meeting, to the closing circle, to that community building. And we are a free resource. You know, we are not trying to be one more thing for teachers to do. We're trying to help teachers and kids to learn these lessons firsthand.
Well, and you offer a lot of suggestions for things that they can do. I'm looking at this here. It's like write letters to troops and veterans or residents of nursing homes. I mean, it's all, it really is a type of outreach that I really think, you know, that our communities are starved for, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's why, you know, we do have all those great ideas and teachers can use them or not. You know, there is no right or wrong way. You know, if you are signed up on Classes for Classes and you have your profile and either you are connected in a project page or you're waiting to be, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing, you know, and you can use the ideas or use your own ideas to best suit your classroom and the needs of your kids.
We're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been talking to Kaitlin Roig-DeBellis, author of Choosing Hope, Moving Forward from Life's Darkest Hours. We'll be right back.
In 2012, after returning home from Iraq and Afghanistan, Sean Gobin hiked over 2,000 miles of the Appalachian Trail. Recognizing the therapeutic effects of long-distance hiking, Sean founded Warrior Expeditions, a veteran nonprofit therapy program that supports veterans transitioning from their military service by hiking America's national scenic trails. Equipment and supplies are provided as well as assistance with job placement. For more info or to help support these veterans, visit warriorexpeditions.org.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com. Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 123 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Are you an author looking for publicity for your book? If you're self-published or have worked through a traditional publisher, Marianne Pestana can help you get the media attention you require. Contact Marianne Pestana, literary publicist and host of Moments with Marianne, to create a winning plan of action. Marianne has helped authors become bestsellers and has received highly acclaimed media attention for her clients. Some of her work has received attention from ABC, NBC, CNN, CBS, Fox, and PBS, in addition to print and radio. She's a specialist in utilizing social media and her list of exclusive contacts to further the reach of your work. Contact MariannePestana.com to discuss the future of your work today.
Are you stuck in your creative process and hitting a roadblock at every turn? Book an appointment with creativity coach Katie Fowler to turn your art and life around. Katie is an award-winning artist, highly sought-after creativity coach, speaker, TV personality, and best-selling author of An Artist's Journey Through Wonderland. Katie guides people in connecting with themselves, with others, and with their own passions. Go to katiefowler.net now to begin your journey through your creative wonderland.
Ben Wexler is a gifted leadership development and strategy consultant for professionals who want to transform their organizations and careers. Through a uniquely personalized set of processes, participants discover their unique knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge and experience, and then put it all together with a global strategy. You're more valuable, your organization is more valuable, and the change is viral. Contact Ben at 630-881-1074. 630-881-1074.
Are you having an average day? Do you seem to be having more average days than great days? I'm Marina J, and I help women turn that around. If you want fast, deep transformation on the stuff that hurts you the most, visit me at marinaj.net to receive support and inspiration now, because your happiness is everything.
Are you dreading your next business trip with all of the unhealthy food choices? Well, eating healthy while on the road for business is no longer a hopeless battle. Natasha Leger, a road warrior herself, not a doctor, dietitian, or nutritionist, but a real-life business person, understands the unique stresses of business travel and has written a book to inspire us and show us how easy it is to make healthy choices while on the road. Order Travel Healthy, a road warrior's guide to eating healthy at TravelHealthyBook.com. That's TravelHealthyBook.com.
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We've been speaking with my very special guest, Kaitlin Roig-DeBellis. She's the author of Choosing Hope, Moving Forward from Life's Darkest Hours, and she's also the founder of Classes for Classes.
So in developing this, when you started to get this, Classes for Classes together, how long was the process from beginning to end? I'm sure it still has its own metamorphosis, and as you guys, as you grow and learn a little bit more of, what is probably like really needed out there, as you engage more with other teachers, you probably have information that does update, as you go along. But how long was the initial process just to get this up and going?
I'm told it was very quick. I was on a mission. I was on a mission.
Yeah.
Something had to something had to pull me out of the trenches of feeling so awful. And for me, this was it. Action was my healing. So I don't know if that has something to do with it or so to answer that, I started drafting this idea out around January 15th, 2013. I spent every night after school on the phone, in meetings, 4 to 5 hours a night. February 20th of 2013, we had our first board meeting with 9 board members, all completely engaged.
That's quick.
Yeah, enthusiastic. And we launched our first website, which is not as it is now, but we launched our very first website on the World News with Diane Sawyer on April 2nd of 2013.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's a quick turnaround there, but you know, when you're on a mission, but you know, it really, I mean, Kaitlin, I think you've been on a mission your entire life, you know, so this is just a continuation of a new mission for you. You know.
I mean, my mission my entire life has been to become a teacher and to be an educator. And so people say all the time, "Oh my gosh, do you miss teaching?" And I have to laugh because what I am doing now is being a teacher. You know, I have many classrooms now instead of just one. But that's always been my mission, and that will never change.
Well, and to be able to offer influence, you know, because that's one thing. It's, you know, it's one thing to be a teacher of a classroom, and that's, I think, the best job that there is out there, and unfortunately one of the most underpaid ones. But you know, and I don't know if people really appreciate teachers as much as they should. I mean, teachers shape so much of a child's development and really catapults them into who it is that they're to become. You know, it's like, who else gets to have charge of that great responsibility, you know? But, I mean, what a great thing, because with Classes for Classes, you really get to do that on a larger level where you're helping people shift their perspectives and look at things in a different way.
I mean, that is the hope. The example that I give all the time of the importance of teachers is, you know, someone asked me, gosh, maybe a year and a half ago, they said in an interview, they said, oh, you know, what would our world look like without teachers? And without a moment of hesitation, I said to them, you know, our world would not work. Teachers are the common denominator in our world. Every single person starts in school. You and I did, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, women, the president of our country started in school. And it was teachers who enabled their dreams to come to fruition. Teachers are why the world works. And in my humble opinion, it is the single-handed most important job that there is.
I would agree with you. I mean, and most people can reflect back, you know, depending on their age, can reflect back to their school years and really pick out that one teacher that really, you know, was the catalyst or the influencer that really moved them into a whole nother direction that they didn't even think possible or didn't even think about, you know. So
I had one.
Yeah, I did too.
Yes, who was yours?
Mrs. Johnson taught English, but she didn't teach. It wasn't just teaching English. It was in high school. She taught the beauty of language. Yeah, she started with Shakespeare, and we really went from sonnet to sonnet and had the deeper understanding of why. Why was this set this way? And the emotions and the feelings that came behind it. And even to this day, I mean, she has been one of the people that I look back on, and she had such a passion for what it was that she did. I mean, Shakespeare for many, many years, was one of my favorite authors. You know?
That's her.
You can't say that about a whole lot of, junior high kids, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who was yours?
Oh, mine was Mrs. Bollier. I'm sure you read about her in Choosing Hope. She was my 5th grade teacher, and she just was, as you were reflecting on your favorite teacher, I mean, it was very clear what her purpose was and what her passion was, and she shared it every day. And I think what was most special to me about Mrs. Beaulieu is, you know, it went beyond academics and teaching. She really genuinely cared about each of us. You know, she cared about our interests. She took the time to get to know us. One of the first activities she did with us was what she called a self-esteem box. And what it was a shoebox filled with things that we brought in from home that made us feel good, whether it was pictures, trophies, awards, you know, we got to pick. And it was really the first time that I can remember a teacher, and even since, a teacher taking a genuine interest in who I was as a person. And after I shared that box for the rest of the year, and I'm sure she did this with every other student too, she would ask me about those things that were in my box. She would ask me about running track. She would ask me about the ribbons I won. She would ask me about the summers I spent with my cousins. You know, and that to me meant the world, you know. And I'm so happy that when I wrote Choosing Hope, I had lost touch with Mrs. Beaulieu. Obviously, it had been 20 years. I reached out to her and I called her. And since then, we've had tea together, and we've had, you know, I've gone over her home, and, you know, she at this point in time is restricted to a wheelchair, and she's doing remarkably well. But she said, you know, the thing that keeps me going and brings me such joy is my memories of teaching and my memories of my students. And that to me is just so powerful because, you know, I say likewise. I mean, that's what she did for me, you know.
You can really relate and feel that, and then that all boils back down into, you know, doing for others. You know, it really, that's kind of what teachers, and I could see why you're big in teaching this, but I mean, it's kind of the whole underlying thing is that teachers do these amazing things for us. And we get to go out in the world and just shine based on what they've given us and be able to give to others, you know?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, teachers go into their classroom every day and they play the role of teacher and nurse and mediator and, you know, mom and counselor, and the list goes on, and they do so willingly and happily and knowing that that's the job description. You know, it's so much more than just teaching and taking a test.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's really giving the students the opportunity to discover what it is that really makes their hearts sing. Because, I mean, wouldn't it be, you know, just a fabulous world if we had more people out there that do not just what they like to do, but what they're so passionate about and love so much. You know, right. So, yeah, I mean, so if I want to get involved, and I know you kind of talked about this a little bit, but I think it bears repeating. If I want to get involved in Classes for Classes, and I'm just a regular Joe, I'm not a teacher or a parent, but I feel like I want to do something because this is probably one of the coolest organizations I've seen in a long time.
Thank you.
And even though I'm still floored by the amount of time it took you to launch this, but I actually, you were definitely in your passion and purpose in doing this. So, how can I get involved and support Classes for Classes?
Absolutely. So you would simply log on to www.classes4classes.org. And you would click on the icon actually let me go to the page to tell you exactly, where it says not a teacher. You would click on one of the below, either class projects, sign up for our news and updates, which would be our bi-weekly newsletter to keep you abreast of what's going on, which I would highly suggest everyone doing. Or you can donate to our mission specifically. And so donating to our mission specifically means helping us to cover our operating costs because we are online based. Obviously, we have to have a cloud hosting. We have web developer fees, all of that. But I would definitely recommend, donating specifically to a class project that really speaks to you. So whether it be that the class is trying to raise money for iPads or a field trip or keyboards or a teaching easel, you can click into those projects and you can see, okay, $52 out of 1,000 has been raised. You know what, I can give $50 to this because I really believe in what this classroom is doing for another classroom. Or maybe when you click into one of them, you're able to see the student work. And you say, oh my goodness, these students they're reading a lot of these books. They're talking about being a bucket filler. They're thinking about kind words and what to say to one another. Gosh, this class I want to support this class. Look at all of the important and incredible work they're doing. And so any donor, you, me, Grandma Sue in Florida, John Smith, CEO in New York City, can go on and donate to any of the classroom projects in increments of $1. And so we've had classroom projects funded by 500 different donors. We've had projects funded by one very generous donor who is able to do that. And there is no right or wrong, but all it takes is $1 to help a classroom and a child know that their work is important.
Oh, definitely. And there's so much to choose from here. So what a great way to be able to get involved, and really support not just the classes for classes, but different students around the country. Because exactly. I'm looking at all these great things like a field trip to this aquarium, and the teacher needs an easel. There's all sorts of stuff here. Classroom rug. Things that you just don't really think about. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the beauty for classes for the teachers who may be listening right now. When you go on and you create your profile and you decide if you want to be receiving or giving, that's completely up to you. There's no right or wrong for the gift given or the gift received. It can be anything. It can be a field trip. It can be, mini iPads. It can be, educational videos that you need. It can be whatever it is, whatever resources your kids need or whatever resources the other classroom needs. And you can certainly, as a teacher, go on as a giving class, give to another class, and then flip-flop and become the receiving class after. There's no reason why that can't happen as well, based on the way our site is built.
Yeah, it's very easy to maneuver around and see the different things that are available there. Oh, that's fabulous. Now, I know you are a very busy lady, to say the least.
If you want something, give it to a busy person.
They'll get it done,
True.
Yeah, you're one of the go-getters, for sure. You get things done. So, well, so what do you have that's coming up, or things that we would like to hear about that either you're doing or classes for classes, or both, actually?
Sure. I think one of the most exciting two things really exciting right now currently for classes specifically. The first is we just 2 weeks ago announced a collaboration with the Kraft Family Foundation, Mr. Robert Kraft, who owns New England Patriots. And so he is enabling us to spread our mission to all of New England. So Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and Rhode Island. And so we are currently looking for 4 classrooms, 1 in each state. So if you are listening and you know of one, or you are one and you would like to be one of these classrooms to have your project fully funded by Mr. Robert Kraft, please go onto our site and email me. There's an email button right through there, and you can contact me that way, or you can find me on Facebook and contact me there very easily on our Classes for Classes page. We would love to hear about your classroom and hopefully be able to have your classroom's project fully funded. The second really exciting thing happening right now is in November, we were selected out of over 8,000 educators in the top 50 for the Global Teacher Prize, which spans over 145 countries. So this is very big news.
Wow, that is a accolade. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So we are thrilled to be in the top 50. They will announce the top 10 sometime in February. So everyone keep your fingers crossed for us. And the number one winner will be announced in Dubai in March.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's exciting. So you'll hear pretty soon on you guys being selected to show up in Dubai, right?
We will. But I want to preface that by saying we are so honored, truly, to just be in the top 50. We have already won. But we can also dream big. So,
hey, I'm all for big dreams, and and what you have here also teaches children, hey, dream big. So why not? So it's all part of the fun.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, so those are some pretty exciting things. So you've got classrooms that can be fully funded. Now, with the funding, could this be for things like computers, or is it specific to what will be funded?
Nope, it is anything. Each classroom project, Mr. Robert Kraft will fully fund the project up to $1,200 for each of the 4. Yeah,
well,
it's
time to get those wish lists out.
Honestly, if you are a classroom, we have not filled all 4 yet. So if you are a classroom, please reach out to me again, either via our website or on Facebook, and hopefully you can be one of those classrooms.
Oh, that's definitely very exciting. Well, and we've got a few minutes here, and gosh, I could talk to you all day about what you're doing. You've got some real phenomenal stuff. But what kind of last thoughts would you like to leave our listeners with?
Well, I think the first would be why, not why, we already went over why I wrote Choosing Hope, would be what Choosing Hope is for, the purpose of Choosing Hope.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds like a good thing to leave with. My goodness.
It's so important to clarify that Choosing Hope is not a book about December 14th, 2012. And that's why it was so crucially important to me that when you picked up the book on the front or the back cover, that it wasn't there, that it didn't say that, because that is not what it is. I've been asked many times, well, if it isn't a book about it, then why did you include, your experience on December 14th? Why didn't you just leave it out? Why didn't you just write about, moving forward? And my answer to that is, if I'm writing a book to encourage anyone to move forward from their own darkness, then I have to share my own. I would not be authentic if I didn't share how insurmountable it could have been for my students and I, and how much we had to overcome. It was no easy feat. And I think that's really important for people to know and understand, so that they can know for themselves that even if their stuff seems insurmountable, that they can absolutely come out on the other side. Choosing Hope is a lifeline. It is a lifeline for anyone who finds themselves in any kind of darkness, to know that they can absolutely find the light, that they can come out on the other side if they just choose to. But you have to choose to.
That's absolutely beautiful, and really, it's part of your journey. It's just how it's what you've had to walk through to really to get to the other side, to create all these wonderful things that you're creating. The classes for classes. I mean, the book itself really gave a lot of insight to just who you are as a person. And I really appreciated that when I read the book. I was, really touched, and it really just pulled at your heartstrings, And at the same time, I just wanted to, keep cheering you on. It's like, you go, you got it, you can do this.
I can use cheerleader.
Oh, you can call me anytime. I'll cheerlead you on. Don't worry about that.
I might take you on that.
Well, and and I really feel like that you're doing a huge service by, having the courage to write the book, and especially in the manner that you did. and to allow people a glimpse into, just what you've gone through and how you're moving through it and how you're overcoming, and overcoming is really a bad word, but just walking through, what you've had to do. And really, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I mean, you are just like, you've been passionate your whole life, and being a teacher and being in the place that you were at that time and helping those children was completely heroic. And I think a lot of people kind of, I know they realize that as well, but I just want to make sure no one glazes over that. And what you're doing today with the Classes for Classes is completely heroic. I wish they had stuff like this when I was growing up, They didn't. I think
hero is not a word that I will ever or have ever associated with. But I think it's interesting that you use the word courageous, because I hear that often, and I always stop people when they say that to me, and I give them a rhetorical question, and I ask, do you know the definition of courage?
Well, enlighten me.
Well, I think courage is acting in the face of fear. And I am afraid a lot. I still am afraid to get on a plane and fly by myself around the world to speak. But I do it anyway, because that fear is not going to control me. But I think it's really important for people to realize, and that's why I always stop them when they say it, because courageous sounds so heroic or so incredible. But really, it's acting even if you are terrified. And I like to remind people of that, because anyone can.
Well, and and to be really honest, they say about any of the big speakers, they always have little butterflies before they go out. So, that's not uncommon. It's like they say.
7, and I've had butterflies for the past 5 days.
That's okay. They say if you lose that, then that's something to watch out for. But you're good. You're totally good.
Okay.
But I agree with you. I mean, I really believe that everyone can have courageous moments, whatever it is. I mean, sometimes courage is just getting up out of bed for the day and doing what you got to do.
That's where it started for me.
Yeah,
Mine was that first day going into the grocery store. That was my first moment of courage. It took a lot.
So what did you buy? Was it like ice cream?
It's really fun. I honestly, I can't remember what I bought, and I think I can't remember because it didn't matter. You know what I mean? It really didn't. It was
just going in there and doing it.
Going in there, being able to wait in the line, that was really hard. My second feat was putting gas in my car on a separate occasion. That was really hard. Then I think I went to like a large public type mall area. Eventually it was getting on a train by myself, and it was getting on an airplane, but each led into the next. Truly. Mm-hmm. So you got to start somewhere.
I definitely, and I think a lot of people can truly relate, in one form or another. So, I don't know. I'm going to be your cheerleader for as long as I'm breathing. So, I want to make sure you know.
Well, thank you.
So, and thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today. I so greatly appreciate you and all that you're doing. And for our listeners out there, definitely buy the book, Choosing Hope. It is a phenomenal book. And make sure to log on classesforclasses.org. When we were talking and you showed me where to go sign up for the newsletters, I went and did that right away.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I'm going to be checking out what everyone's doing, and I'm excited to see about what's happening and participating in that. And, and I think people want to be involved. So I'm sure you'll have people signing up for this as well, saying, hey, what can I do, or how can I participate, or how can I help,
Hope so.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today, Kaitlin. Just so appreciate you.
Thank you, Marianne, so much for having me, for sharing my story, and for being a cheerleader. It means the world to me.
Of course, definitely, of course. And to all of our listeners out there, I want to thank you for tuning in today. And remember, make every moment count.
Join us next time for Moments with Marianne, when host Marianne Pestana brings another inspirational gifted leader to help us grow. Tune in every second Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Moments with Marianne, when the Dream Vision 7 radio network is at 1510 a.m. Boston. Or catch Moments with Marianne every Thursday and Friday at 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. Eastern Time by going to dreamvision7radio.com. To learn how Marianne started her business from the ground up, visit mariannepestana.com. Don't miss this, and remember, make every moment count.